What is happening, everyone? Welcome to GBALL Vision. We are talking about some knives that I cannot keep out of my pocket over the last couple of months. Knives that I keep going back to, can't get out of my hand, can't get out of my pocket. And this is one of the main culprits here, the Null knives, Voodoo, and for good reason, guys. This thing is absolutely fantastic. If you have never handled a Voodoo and you like this design, I can highly recommend this knife. M390 steel. They have a bunch of different flavors. This one has an acid wash finish. Love this harpoon. Sheep's foot, Wharncliffe style blade, titanium bolster lock, nice micarta, beautiful titanium pocket clip and backspacer. This thing is an ergonomic dream, whether you're in the standard grip with the jimping there and the thumb disc, the harpoon up close, whether you want to get an index grip on this guy. This thing is just a dream no matter which way you are holding this thing. It is fantastic. The action is on point. The size is perfect. It's not too small. It's not overly big. It's a great size. This is a great EDC knife. Great user knife, period. I love the fuller, the thumb disc. They work very well no matter which one you want to use. When you have this knife in your hand, you know that you have some well-made, well-designed knife in your hand. It just feels like $1,000,000. This thing is fantastic. Let's go ahead and get to the next one. The next one is an oldie but a goodie, really, guys. At least it's new to me, though. This is the Cutlery Shop exclusive Paramilitary 2 with that beautiful Wharncliffe blade coming in CTS XHP with that coated blade. This thing is a dream in the hand, guys. It's your Paramilitary 2, but it's got that awesome Wharncliffe blade. The thought came to me, man, I wish I could complete the trio of my standard PM2, my Tanto PM2, and round it off with the Wharncliffe. And sure enough, Cutlery Shop still had a few of these in stock. I got this out early October, or maybe even right before October, and I just haven't been able to put it down. It's so comfortable. I have a MXG deep carry clip there on this guy. Standard PM2, but with that Wharncliffe blade, it's just a game changer, especially when we're talking about a user knife, an everyday knife. And one thing you don't typically have with these really low points, like here with the Convict from Concept, this maintains a piercing pokey tip. I mean, typically those low tips are not great at piercing. Now, is this going to be piercy like a spear point or a very, fine drop point? No, but this thing will definitely do some poking of its own, and it's a great utility knife. This thing is just fantastic. I can't believe I went so long without having one of these, handling one of these, but this is one that will never leave the collection, that's for sure. The PM2 Cutlery Shop exclusive has been in my pocket quite a bit lately. The next one up is, I love it just because it's a big badass knife, the Civi Balter. This is, or Balher, however you want to pronounce it. But this is a newer Civi design, newer Civi release. 14C 28N on the blade steel. That is a hell of a hunk of 14C. Nice Tanto pokey piercing blade. You got this nice straight edge here, a usable secondary edge here. Both the tips are useful as well. Pretty thin, on top of being a big knife, this is pretty thin. I like that it has multiple deployments with the rear flipper and the dual thumb studs. Detent is tuned pretty damn well for how big this knife is. And this burlap micarta, this is the other knife I was trying to think of in a previous video, But this burlap is not bad at all. The convict here, I'll bring it out again. This is nice, and this is pretty nice. The Sakoki, I'm typically not a burlap micarta fan, but for the money and how well this is designed, the only thing I don't care for is the access to the liner. I've said it a couple of times. It's not that great, but you know, it's you can still get to it, disengage it easily. I just wish that you had a little bit more access, and I don't know how they didn't catch that in final design. They chamfer this out here, but they didn't lower it where you could get in there extra easy. Deep carry clip, open construction with lots of internal milling, reversible clip, you know, and for the money, this thing is fantastico. I love holding this big old knife in my hand, and it can do a lot of work too. And it's a good EDC, pretty good work knife, you know, and this would also double as a pretty good tactical knife. You could definitely do some poking with this guy. Definitely a fan of the Civi Balter. If they would have got the access here right, man, would this be just a game changer for the size, the money. Definitely a big old boy. Love the Civi Balter. Let's go ahead and get to the next one. The next guy up is a USA-made badass, the TRM Shadow. I've fallen in love with this knife. 20 CV, stonewash blade, unique drop point, sheep's foot style of blade, very unique blade shape. Dual thumb studs for the deployment. You have a crossbar lock for your lockup, and they call that the river lock. G10 handles with a nice finish on it. You have all kinds of different jimping or milling pattern done in here. You have a titanium filler tab, so that means our lefty brothers can flip the clip and carry it lefty. Nice deep carry titanium pocket clip. This thing is fantastic as an everyday carry, a work knife. You know, it's built to be a user. You got thick G10, titanium, you know, for the accents. G10 backspacer there. This is just, you know, it's a little bit more expensive, but this is created to be a user. Thin blade stock, thin behind the edge. This thing is nice and tall, so it slices very well. Very pokey, too. This thing is a dream knife, and, you know, it's hard to understand the hoopla about a knife until sometimes when you get them in hand, and then you're like, yeah, this is a good knife. And that's the case with this one. You know, not that I didn't know TRMs were good, and not that I didn't expect this to be good, but once you get it in hand, you're like, oh yeah, this is why everybody's been raving about this knife. That's why this knife is so popular. It's still popular right now, you know, well after its first initial release. This thing is fantastic. The TRM USA made Shadow. Let's go ahead and get to the next one. The next one up is another USA made boy, and this is actually, you know, this isn't a new knife to me, but it's a knife that I carried quite a bit initially, but put it away, put it down for a while, and recently got this thing back out, started breaking it in really good, using it, carrying it, the Hogue Ritter, the RSK, 20 CV for the blade steel. They also make a Magna Cut version now, G10 handles. You have the Hogue Able lock, crossbar lock. Beautiful knife, guys. Very comfortable. Another knife that's just made purely to be a user. I mean, thick G10 handles. This thing is ultra comfortable. It's thick in all the right places. It kind of swells and then comes thin here. It just fits, depending on the size of your hand, of course. This thing just fits me like a glove. I can squeeze the piss out of this thing and I don't feel anything anywhere. I love the Hogue RSK. I wouldn't mind getting a mini, and I wouldn't mind getting a full-size Magna Cut version at some point. Deep carry, reversible clip there, standard Benchmade clip, I believe, or the three-hole pattern Benchmade clip. In this case, you know, it's just two screws, but you can run a 3 or a 2 on this guy. Lanyard hole. Fantastic EDC knife, guys. If you have not had a chance to check out a Hogue Ritter, definitely one of my highest recommended knives that you can get. That's USA made, primo materials, you know, 140 to 160, I think, and they might be like 170, some of them. But for under 170 bucks to get USA made, 20 CV, backed by a company like Hogue, a lot of the money, I believe, that when you buy a Ritter, you know, goes to the Knife Rights Foundation, some of it or all of it. I'm not sure how that works, but Doug Ritter's the guy who fights for our knife rights across the country. He won Pennsylvania. Our knife rights back, you know, as far as autos and that sort of thing. So huge shout out to Doug Ritter for that. Awesome accomplishment, and he's done it a lot of other places as well. So not only are you getting a great knife from a great company, but the designer who designed it is awesome, and a lot of the money goes back into, you know, your right to carry the knife that you want. So all the way around, it's a win-win-win. There, you know, that's one of the few times where you can say, for the money, the materials, the company, the designer, it's a win all the way around, and it's definitely a knife that will not disappoint you. Give me a thumbs up, guys. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think of these 5 knives. Kind of an odd group, but it's just the 5 that I cannot keep out of my pocket right now. Probably will change here going into November, or I'll try to change it anyway. Definitely a group of knives there, an oddball set of knives. Love these knives. Let me know down in the comments what you think, and if you're new to the channel or you've been here before and you are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button down below the video. Love you guys. Peace out.